Vucevic averaged over 18 points and 10 rebounds per game last season, while shooting a respectable percentage from three-point range. His ability to space the floor would be invaluable in the Warriors system, and his rebounding would immediately address one of their biggest weaknesses. Imagine the offensive possibilities with Curry and Butler creating while Vucevic provides a reliable target in the paint and on the perimeter. The defensive concerns of Vucevic are legitimate, but they're not insurmountable. Playing alongside Draymond Green, who remains one of the smartest defenders in the league, could help mask some of those limitations. The Warriors have always been creative with their defensive schemes, and adding a center who can actually protect the rim would give them more flexibility in how they approach different matchups. From a practical standpoint, a Kuminga for Vucevic trade makes infinitely more sense than chasing Giddey. The Warriors will be addressing their most glaring need while still getting value for a player who clearly wants out. Vucevic's experience and proven production will provide immediate impact for a team that's trying to maximize their championship window with an aging core. The Bulls, meanwhile, would get exactly what they're looking for in Kuminga. Chicago has been rebuilding and looking for young talent with upside. Kuminga's athleticism and potential would fit perfectly alongside their developing core of Kobe White and Mattis Buzelis. It's the kind of move that benefits both organizations' timelines and objectives. But here's what's frustrating about this entire situation. The Warriors seem to be prioritizing the wrong things. Adding Giddey would certainly be a luxury, and there's no denying his talent. However, before you start shopping for luxury items, you need to ensure your basic needs are met. The Warriors need a center, and they need one badly. The championship teams of recent years have all had reliable big men who could contribute in crucial moments. The Lakers had Anthony Davis. The Nuggets have Nikola Jokic. The Celtics have multiple big men who can play different roles. The Warriors, if they stick with their current construction, will be asking Draymond Green to carry an enormous load in the front court, and that's simply not sustainable over an 82-game season plus playoffs. This situation perfectly encapsulates the challenge facing the Warriors front office. They're trying to balance competing priorities, maintaining their championship window while planning for the future, keeping their core happy while making necessary upgrades, and addressing needs while staying financially flexible. It's an incredibly difficult balancing act, but that's why these decision-makers are paid the big bucks. The clock is ticking on resolving the Kuminga situation, and whatever move the Warriors make will send a clear message about their priorities for the upcoming season. If they chase Giddey, they're betting on talent and potential while ignoring their most obvious need. If they pursue Vucevic, they're acknowledging that championship teams need balance and that addressing weaknesses is more important than adding luxury pieces. As we wait to see how this plays out, one thing is certain. The Warriors can't afford to get this decision wrong. Their championship window might be narrower than they'd like to admit, and every move needs to be calculated with that reality in mind. Giddey might be the more exciting option, but Vucevic might be the smarter one. What's your take on this potential trade scenario? Should the Warriors prioritize playmaking depth with Giddey, or should they address their front court needs with Vucevic? Let us know in the comments what you think would be the better move for the team's championship aspirations. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. This offseason is far from over, and we'll be here breaking down every move that could shape the Warriors' future. The Kirk Cousins trade speculation is fascinating, but let's be real about what's actually happening here and whether the Rams scenario makes any sense. First, let's address the elephant in the room. The Falcons are in an incredibly awkward position with Cousins right now. They guaranteed him $100 million just last offseason, then drafted his replacement in the first round, and finally benched him for that rookie before the season even ended. That's about as dysfunctional as quarterback management gets in the NFL. The financial reality of trading Cousins is absolutely brutal for Atlanta. They're looking at massive dead money on their salary cap if they move him, which is why he's still on the roster despite all the trade rumors. Teams don't usually eat that kind of financial loss unless they absolutely have to, and the Falcons aren't quite at that point yet. But the Rams scenario that Cody Benjamin laid out, that's actually more intriguing than it might seem on the surface. Matthew Stafford's back issues are legitimate concerns, and at 37 years old, his body isn't getting any younger. The Rams have built their entire offensive system around having a veteran quarterback who can make quick decisions and accurate throws in Sean McVay's timing-based offense. Jimmy Garoppolo as the backup plan should terrify Rams fans. We've seen this movie before with Jimmy G, and it usually doesn't end well when he's asked to carry a team for an extended period. He's fine as a short-term solution, but if Stafford goes down for multiple games, the Rams' playoff hopes could evaporate quickly. This is where Cousins becomes genuinely interesting for Los Angeles. Love him or hate him, Cousins has proven he can operate at a high level in the right system. His connection with McVay from their Washington days is real, and McVay knows exactly how to use Cousins' strengths while minimizing his weaknesses. The timing element that Benjamin mentioned is crucial here. McVay's offense is built on precision and timing, and Cousins has always been at his best when he can anticipate where receivers will be rather than relying on improvisation. That's a match made in heaven from a schematic standpoint. But here's where the logistics get complicated. The Rams are already dealing with salary cap constraints, and taking on Cousins' contract would require some serious financial maneuvering. The Falcons would probably have to eat a significant portion of his remaining guaranteed money to make a trade work, which brings us back to the question of whether Atlanta is desperate enough to take that kind of financial hit. The break glass in case of emergency framing is probably accurate. If Stafford's back problems persist or worsen, the Rams might have to make a move like this to salvage their season. They're not rebuilding. They're trying to maximize their remaining window with key veterans still in their prime. From Cousins' perspective, going to the Rams would be a dream scenario. He'd be reunited with a coach who knows how to use him effectively. He had weapons like Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua to work with, and he'd be in a much better position to compete for a playoff spot than sitting behind Michael Penix Jr. in Atlanta. The real question is whether the Rams would actually pull the trigger on something like this. Sean McVay is aggressive when it comes to making moves for veteran talent. But this would be a significant investment in a 37-year-old quarterback who's coming off a season with more interceptions than touchdowns. Those turnover numbers from last season are genuinely concerning. 16 interceptions in 14 games is a red flag for any quarterback, but especially one who's supposed to be a safe veteran presence. The Rams would have to believe that was more about the Falcons' offensive system and supporting cast than about Cousins' declining abilities. The timeline for this potential move is also interesting. If Stafford's back issues linger into the regular season and the Rams start to panic about their quarterback situation, a mid-season trade for Cousins could make sense. That would give the Falcons more time to evaluate whether they're ready to fully commit to the Penix Jr. era. But trading for Cousins would also be an admission that the Rams' championship window is still open, which might not align with the reality of their roster construction. They've got aging veterans, salary cap issues, and draft pick deficits from previous trades. Adding another expensive veteran might be throwing good money after bad. The more realistic scenario might be the Rams waiting to see if Cousins gets released outright. If the Falcons decide they can't justify keeping him on the roster at his current price point, he could hit the free agent market and give teams like Los Angeles a chance to sign him at a more reasonable rate. What makes this whole situation so intriguing is that it represents the intersection of several different team philosophies.